Hi everyone, my name is Joanna. In a moment you will see at the first time prototype ISS Vanguard. I know that a lot of players are waiting for more information about this board game, so in this video my guest Marcin Świerkot from Awakened Realms will show you, and me too also, for the first time, as I said before, his new board game. You have to know that this video is the first part our recording in which Marcin shows you how to landing on the planet and what could be happened there. So I invite you to a second part our recording where Marcin talked about important elements of this board game, I mean the binder. You will know a lot of details and I hope you will like it. If you will have some questions, you can ask in the comment section here, or if you prefer, ask Marcin on Facebook, as you wish. So now we are on some planet and it's time to discovering something. Have a nice watching, guys, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and leave a like if you liked this video. Okay, so we are on a planet finally.
Yes, we landed on the planet, but it's not looking that safe, I would say. It's just
friendly, no,
a little bit ACD, but hey. All right, so first of all, the disclaimer, prototype disclaimer. This will be a book, actually, with like a rolled and so forth. So whenever we land on a planet, we open a special parts of the book, right? And this is what we actually play.
Yeah. Very practice.
They can change, for example, so just to give you an example, if we do some, for example, destroy ecosystem, because there are crazy things we can do actually here. Like, for example, there's an item, thermonuclear bomb. Basically, we can detonate it and it can change a lot, and we can just shift it to another pages with like the same planet, but totally changed. Okay. Visually and things like that. So that they are happening. We'll be not playing now, but I will just showcasing. Yeah, exactly, explaining. So as you can see here, we have point of interest. So this will be the things that we're traveling between, and you can think of that as the most important things on this planet. So we're not looking. It's just not a map, but it's just like things of point of interest. And there's a place where we land. Okay. With our lander, so there will be like an icon or a model of our lander that just landed in here, and he will stay here, or maybe we can move it to another locations remotely if we'll get the technology, maybe, who knows. We have our crew that we customize for the mission with the dices, with an action cards, with some special items, and also supplies, and the supplies are stored in our lander, and we can start exploring the planet. The way it works, you can see those special, some of them are printed, some of them will be putting on the point of interest when we get to them, to basically explore them. Some of them will be log 6, which means that they are story encounters that will lead us to, for example, put it. And what is very important is that they are they're very multi-level. So it is not like this is the final version, but when we do something in here, we put another one, something changed, and another one, right? So things that are happening. And if you remember the save game of the planet, you can see the numbers. So then when we come back to this planet, we can actually put the current state of this point of interest in here. Okay. A few extra things. We'll have some planetary information cards. So basically what I showed you on the scanner. So what is the special action on that planet and so forth. We have 2 unique discoveries on that planet to find. We got these unique discoveries 4 and 6, and they are unique. You cannot find them on different planets. But what is interesting is that some of those planets are procedurally generated, meaning that there are, for example, 2 unique discoveries 4, and you are getting only 1 in here. So the second time you will play the game, you will actually get to find another discovery. And there are also different planetary information. So if you decide to replay the campaign, some of the planets might be very different in terms of what you can find in them and so forth and so forth. There's a mission in here that will kind of direct you what you need to do, and it will change as well. And there's an event, and those events are time tracked. I'll be not showing those because they're in the prototype state. That's the first one. And the second one, they are basically bit spoilerish, so not gonna do that. But the way it works, there are some kind of time things that are coming. Like for example, we're in the planet where there's a volcano eruption coming, so there's a time token, and you're trying to race until something will explode and be destroyed. So we're here, and what we'll be doing is we'll be traveling on this planet, obviously trying to do those actions on those places. And first of all, let's explain the move. So every time we do 2 actions, and then the other player goes. Whenever I want to move, you can see those costs of movement in here.
Oh, this is cost.
Yeah, and what it means is that I have to spend, I have to roll, and whenever I roll, I can decide how many rolls I want to, how many dice I want to use. I can even go and use all of my dice if it is really important for me, but it will be stupid, so don't do that. So I'm using 1, and if it is a success, I just moved safely, nothing happens, right? But there is a risk that, for example, I would go X mark, which is basically a failed result, and when I get it, then I need to go to the hazard deck. I take one at random, and I'm looking at the icons up front, and they are showing the environment, and I'm looking at where I am. If there is the same symbol, I read the card, and this guarantees us that whenever we'll do that, we'll have thematic events in this location. So there will be no, weird things like we're on a desert and suddenly a lava erupts from sky or whatever, right? This will be all very thematically connected with these locations. Here, for example, we got hard stroke, meaning that I need to try to again roll, and I need to roll this symbol, and if I will not, then I get a sick injury. This is the injury I will put. We'll talk about injuries a little bit later. They are not always bad, again, sometimes they will lead us to discoveries, so this is basically something that happened along the way, right? There will be a lot of hazards, they are not always going to come in. And now, if the hazard will not come in, so the icon will not be connected, we are moving all time tokens around the board, also on the events. So this way the game auto-balance itself, because sometimes we'll have a lot of negative events, so it will be hard, but the time will not move as fast, so we'll have more time to actually do the event. And the other one, if we have very easy one, then the time will move. So that's why the randomity in here will not be that bad. Also, another thing is that in terms of the randomity, because when people see dices, they are always panicking about the too much RNG. And in here, first of all, you have those special skills, or as I explained, any red die would give me this symbol. Another thing is that I can decide to use more dice. Another thing is that if I'm with someone, they can assist with my roll and give one of these rolls just to help me, right? There are some special skills. So for example, in this one, your special skill is that if we would roll, we could ignore all the injuries. So even if we would fail, the injury would not have an effect. And on top of all of that, if I could get to one of the section box, we will have our action cards. And action cards, as you can see, they are limited by rank, and we're also deck building before. Those are very easy and very they are for free. We can play them anytime we want. We have the maximum of 4 cards. We'll be drawing it up here. We'll be drawing every time we rest 1 card. And you can, for example, you may reroll a danger die. So you basically reroll it, spend the card. You can, for example, play before an assist, and then our shield counts as 2 red. So there are like a lot of things to manage that and to kind of understand the risk, what I'm trying to do. So if I have a card, I can take more risk, if not. So there are, and obviously those are unique for every section, and you will be also preparing those for the planet you are landing. So there's like this special like deck building element of like, okay, I want this for this planet because it may be useful. So it's very important to know your section, and that's why players will have this special cool gameplay where it is very asymmetric and you don't know what other characters can do, so you need to talk around on the, like above the table, to talk everything you want to do. Maybe this guy has a card that will help you, so you need to communicate, and this kind of creates this cool co-op experience, right? Then you have the actions that you can do on the planets. You can, for example, here explore the vents, and the middle one always shows you the necessity to complete this action. And then the upper one is like an extra bonus. So if you will have one green die, and the green one is like any die side, but not X. Yeah, exactly. So that's the reason one. Red one and blue one, you get one success. This is the success symbol, and then replace it with other cards. So you basically put another card. Something developed happened. If one of the symbol was this one, compass, I would say. Yeah, that's compass probably. This one. Yeah, exactly. Then you additionally get a random discovery. So this is some kind of additional result. If you failed, you need to go to log 3-1. So there's like some story interaction, right? And there's also this Vanguard symbol. And the Vanguard symbol is a joker. So basically you can use it for any symbol you want. So even if you don't have the exact designs, you always have a chance that maybe the Vanguard will be this one, right? So you do 2 actions, and after those 2 actions, you basically pass, and you need to take a hazard, check it whether it happens or not, and another person goes, right? You are going one by one, but what's important, you are using those dices, and they are being used. They not come back here, but you're using them. So this is basically limiting your action points pool, and you got 2 ways of getting, 3 actually ways of getting them back, other than around the mission. So first of all, there are some actions that will let you refresh some life. Another thing is that you can rest, use 1 supply, get 3 dice back, and draw 1 card from your deck. You can also rest without supplies, and you can last probably around 2 to 3 turns without supplies, using supplies. And just normally, try to do, but then you get an injury, then you lose focus, and so forth and so forth. And there's also a third way where you can, here are the colors. So you have, I would have to have 2 green and 1 blue spent dice. I can decide to permanently discard 1 die for this mission. So put it back to my section box and refresh all the die I have here. So without using supplies, nothing. But I permanently lost 1 card. And the reason for why there are those symbols is to limit it, that you only can do it as much. Because if you get rid of those symbols, you'll no longer be able to use it, right? So there is a possibility at the very end of the mission where you can actually burn a lot of dice permanently, but do a lot of things to kind of like a sprint. And then you got also those special abilities that have charges, and those are the charges for the mission. So you can do only 2 times on the mission. My character has actually a passive, so basically it help all the time. So he's basically a survivor, so he can take it. All right. So what are also things that are happening on the planets? So other than those points of interest that are the core of the game, will push forward the story and so forth and so forth. We are also trying to find the leads that will give us discoveries and so forth. So in various places, they will tell us to give us brown lead, which is like technology, green lead, which is more like life form, but like on the cellular form, yellow lead, which is more complicated life, and blue lead, which is like minerals and so forth. So we're getting a lead like this, and this is like old bone. So this one says if we have 3 leads of this color, we discard it and gain one discovery, animal specimen discovery. Just to show you, animal specimen discovery is like here. You have like glowing digitalis, yes. So on the ship face, we can gain 1 production point and 1 science point, and discard it, right? Some of those will give us, for example, let's say planet phase. So for example, this one, producing sludge, we can actually gain 1 supplies, but we'll get rid of this discover. So some can be used here, some can be used on ship, but all are very cool and we want to get those. Yeah. So we're trying to discover as much things in here as possible. But also it's not always like this. Some cards, like let's say if I can see some more, yeah, for example this one is more interesting. So I can place a marker on this card. And it counts as 2 leads of this color. If you have 3 leads of this color, discard. So this one counts as 2 because it's better. But there are some others that have a test that you can do. There are also, for example, this one, which is suspicious mud, and it is a false lead. So when you gain this lead, you discard all the leads you have of the same color because you were chasing something that you thought it was, but it wasn't, and you guess you need to try again. And each of them have kind of like different thematic things where you're trying to discover things, and this is what we really wanted to do in this game. There are obviously some combat that will happen, but there are a lot of discovering, a lot of things that you need to go around, try to find, try to do actions, discover the whole ecosystems, try to learn some other alien races. We didn't want it to make it, you know, just like land, fight the bad aliens, do other things, kind of roll, kill them all, go back to the ship. But it's more sophisticated where you need to, there is some kind of risk, there is some kind of combat that is happening, but there are a lot of actions to do. Sometimes you'll have to climb the mountain, sometimes you'll have to resurrect some alien technology to put a signal, and so there's like a lot of cool story to be discovered and a lot of things happen. Another thing that will be happening on the planet, so we'll have those discoveries, obviously there'll be a lot of things happening in here, is the logbook. This is the story heart of the campaign, prototype version, obviously. And we also have a very good app for this. It will be not required, but it will be a complementary, and the way it is written, it is not as Etherfields or Tainted Grail was, where it was like from the narrator perspective, but it's much more from the team perspective, where you have dialogues between the crew members, when you have, like, for example, journals of some kind of crew members, and in the app we'll have it actually voiced over with different roles, so you'll hear people talking, you will hear special sounds, like for example if you're opening the door you will hear the doors being open and so forth. And the story part is done by Krzysztof Piskorski from Tainted Grail, so it's really good, it's really strong, and it's very awesome because you can actually see it's much more involving, where it is a dialogue and it is full action-packed, things are happening, people are debating about it, there's all those emotions. It is not just the narrator third perspective of what's happening. So it's very cool, I'm very excited about this part. When you read it, you actually get a very cool impression. And also another thing is that in the Tainted Grail you had the script book and a save sheet, so two things where you put it. So here we merged it, so instead of like a huge big high quality book that you would have, we'll put it like, we'll give you more, but on a like a normal printing paper, more those script books for few campaigns. And whenever you will do something, you will actually mark it here on the book, so this will be also your save game. So whenever, as I showed you before, there was this kind of graph of things, so you will be actually putting the save games in here, like for example log here, you're marking it, and whenever you will come back in here, you will see that it is marked, so you go to another log instead of this one. So we get rid of this additional piece of paper, which added a lot of downtime in Tainted Grail, wherever it said like, if you have this status, check again, and you would have to go through this, look for the status, come back, and it's kind of break emotion. So here it's much more faster and much more easier. And a lot of story happens in here, some story happens on the exploration book, but it's quite an epic adventure, very awesome, with like a lot of twists, and it's kind of like a very cool sci-fi opera feeling where you go off to different planets, have this all different alien races. They have some political connections and whatnot. Yeah. Also, yeah, there's like also an injury system. So maybe I'll just show you in here. Whenever we get an injury, like for example we did, there are special injury cards, beautiful back layout, prototype of a prototype, as I said. There are some specific injuries that you will be getting. For example, this is oxygen overdose. And so whenever you get an injury, you put it in here.
Yeah.
You can have up to 3 injuries, then you die. This guy obviously, you not die, but you get disabled. So basically, you lay here, and your crew members can pick you up and take you back on the ship.
On the ship.
Yeah, with a rescue mission. The problem is if all the characters will get disabled, then you actually finish the mission, go back to the book, and you can send a rescue party with another lander and so forth. If you don't, you're losing your lander with all the mods, you're losing the crew members and all the items that were with them. So, you know, sometimes it's nice to kind of like think twice, you know, whether we want to push your luck on the mission or maybe just come back and we'll be back later. With the injury, the way it works, you are getting this special injury die. And every time you roll for anything, movement, doing an action, you need to use this die as well. This is a more prototype die than it is. Anyway, so when we roll.
Okay.
And this shows us, this is a radiation symbol, and I don't have it, but if I would have this symbol,
you have to activate this card.
Yeah, and it says fail this roll. So basically it makes my life much more hard. Obviously I can heal it some way or help it some way, but yeah. And also ignore it, the results and so forth, but yeah, but from now on, you know, with this injury it will be a bit harder to play. As the die, so there are a lot of different dices, and as you can see there are some special like rectangle around us, and this shows us there's like a special help card that shows you which dices do what. And you can prepare them for a mission, like for example, if you know that on the planet there are a lot of these symbols, you want to take this die because it has a bigger chance to do that. We also, in the app, we want to have like a chances calculator, where you would put it, what symbols you need to get, what dices are you using for the roll, and it will calculate you how much percentage chance you have for getting the results you want. There are some small things, but kind of a cool one. And yeah, and also, you know, you'll have your ship in here where you would, it can have some models that will help you. You can have some equipment and like small bases that you will be building on planets, like an outpost that you can easier move later or teleport between them. So there are like a lot of fun things to do, as I said. Thermonuclear bomb, that's an option. You have a zip line, you have like a different, like very like you can have a drone that will go and explore without you. So a lot of cool things, a lot of things to discover. And yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of what's happening on the planet. Then we pack things up and we go to the ISS Vanguard back.
Yeah.
One thing that I haven't spoken about, kind of forgot, is the lander. So before we land, we also need to go through the tests if we landed safety or not. So as I showed you on the lander zone, we can decide how much we want to load up. Then we have this danger die in here, and there's a limited amount of rolls. Every planet have different abbreviation of the symbols, and we will be checking whether we have enough armor to sustain it or not. And there's like 3 rolls, so we can decide, and there can be like, for example, we can lose 1 supply because something crashed on our plane, or we can get 1 wound for our crew member. So this also creates you this situation where every landing you'll have like a little bit different situation because something happened during the landing. So you have like this small disadvantage to go, but you know, generally you know the planet, you know what's happening at the event, and you know what's in here, what you want to expect, and what you need to find. And yeah, obviously this is a story-driven game, so a lot of stories coming in. There will be in the prototype 2 missions that you can play. One, 3 actually. One is tutorial mission, but we'll not show this because there's too much spoilers in that. And then 2 missions that you can explore. Hopefully you get to play somewhat. Alright, so that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it, this short presentation. And we'll do like a short QA on Facebook right after that. If you have any questions, I will be there to answer. Yeah.
Thank you very, very much.
Sorry if it takes too long. I like to talk a lot.
Yeah, I know that.
So, you should say like, no, this was interesting.
Thank you guys for watching this part of video. Check the link on the description below to the second part of our recording in which Martin explained and show you more details about the binder.